Hello, Taurus sisters. This is Amy Kate Gunther. Welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk about my recent efforts to declutter my house. I have been very ambitious about working on this project, and I asked on Facebook, and the lady said, yeah, tell us all about it. So I will. But first, I want to remind you the newest issue, issue 13, the July and August issue of Taurus Sisters magazine just came out this week. And it is so good. One of my favorite articles in here, I mean, there's lots of favorites, but one of my favorites is by Lee Donano. And it's 20 tips for healthy eating on a budget. So I know everyone these days is trying to be frugal, trying to save money, but we don't want to compromise how we eat. So she had this great article for us. So go and read that. She's also at Our Little House on the Mountain. And there's just so much in this magazine. No matter how old you are, no matter what season of life you are, there is so much in here for you. Some of it might not apply to you. Like if you don't have children at home, maybe the parenting article doesn't apply to you. But, there's 50 other pages that apply to you. So go to TaurusSisters.com and subscribe, and I will mail it to your house. So my effort to declutter, sisters, when I make up my mind to do something, I usually go all in, and I become super, not obsessive because I know, I have control of myself, but really deliberate and fast. I just go at it and get something done. Especially because these last 2 weeks I found that I had time to do it, and I know that in the future I have new projects coming up. I'm going to launch a book, willing, in the next few weeks. I have the next magazine issue to do. But these last 2 weeks and this coming week, I've kind of been in between big projects. So it was the perfect time to do it, and I was like, I better use this time and hustle. So I did. And it kind of consumed me, or consumed a ton of my time, and I asked on Facebook, sisters, do you want to hear about this? And it was a resounding yes. And so many of you in those Facebook comments said that you are also decluttering, or you're feeling also the urge to declutter. And you would just, I don't think I'm going to say anything to you that you don't already know, sisters. But if you're on the fence or you're going through it, sometimes it's just nice to have encouragement. That's what this podcast is always about, isn't it? Just encouragement. And I know that this doesn't apply to everyone, so if this is somehow just going to stress you out or frustrate you, just don't listen to this podcast. Because I know, a lot of times I talk in a general sense. I always talk in a general sense because you're not sitting in front of me. All I have in front of me is a microphone and a computer screen. But I know that there are some of you going through certain circumstances where decluttering is the last thing on your mind because you have much more important things that you're dealing with. And so when I say things like you should or you ought to, it doesn't mean necessarily you. I'm just generally talking to a group of women. So Grace, it's okay if this doesn't apply to you. There's been times in my life where I couldn't focus on decluttering. And I think part of the reason I could really tackle it these last 3 weeks is because I'm in a season of shalom and things are okay and my brain and emotions can focus on it. And it has been a little bit emotional. I'll tell you some of the things that I have let go of, and it's been emotional. And so not everyone can do that all the time. Other things, there are other needs that must be met first sometimes. So I understand. Now, what prompted me specifically a couple weeks ago to start this? Number one, I just honestly wanted some extra cash, and it's kind of started with this idea to have a garage sale. My children and I, and this is part of the problem, we love to go to garage sales. And this is a huge part of the problem, I love a bargain. I love getting something at a deep discount, something that I know we'll use someday, something that was maybe on a wish list, not a need list, but here it is, it's used, and so it's super cheap. And garage sales, at least here in Michigan, are usually the best place. It's even cheaper than the Goodwill. A decent garage sale, in my opinion, should be cheaper than the Goodwill. That's my expert garage sale lady opinion. But we also like having garage sales. Now, I went through a phase several years ago after I had my first child. I quit nursing. I quit my job. No, wait. I went part-time after my first child, and after my third child, I quit working altogether. Anyway, somewhere in there. So, our house, back then I was married. Then we were living on one income, and I became an extreme couponer. I went all in, became super engrossed in it, not obsessed, but let's just say I was good at it. And I was getting things for free. There was one time I had a cart full of Ziploc bags, and the cashier said, "Wow, I owe you $5." And I said, "You can't do that. That'll mess up your till." He said, "The computer says." It was the strangest thing, but I was really, really good at it. And so I had thousands of coupons, and I became an extreme couponer. And then, of course, we would have garage sales and sell some of the excess. And I did other stuff with it too, but the garage sales were really fun. And I just like having garage sales. Who doesn't like to make a buck? So it's been probably, and I haven't done couponing in years and years and years because it also takes a lot of time. But since I moved into this house, we've had, I think, one garage sale about 5 years ago. So it was like time to have another garage sale. And my children want to sell some of their old toys because they're big now. They don't play with toys anymore. And they want the money. And so I thought, well, I have stuff I know I could sell too. So it started partly with wanting to have a garage sale, and I could use the cash right now. I rent my house, and the rent just went up. So I'm like, yeah, some extra cash right now would be dreamy. So it's a good time to have a garage sale. And I thought about it, and I say, kids, if we're going to have a garage sale, we're going to have to sort through stuff to find the stuff. Like, I just started, I'm like, we have to go through our closets. We have to go through the old toy boxes. We have to go through our drawers and the pile of Nerf guns in the garage and the bucket of games and like all these things. And, if you're really going to have a garage sale only every 5 or 6 years, you want to make it worth it. And so that was the first thing that started this effort to declutter. Another thing is kind of alluding also to the fact that the rent just went up. I just feel like I should be ready to move. I don't have any plans to move. I love where I live. I love this house. I have friends over all the time. Everyone, the children especially, love this house. We have a basketball hoop. We have a big yard. And most importantly, we have a fire pit, So it's just a great house for having people over and just for my children to grow up in. But, the rent went up, and I just feel like I should be ready to move as a father. And there's nowhere else to move right now. Like, I can't buy a house, and there's no other rentals. So I don't have any plans to move. But I just feel the Father, the Spirit telling me, just be ready. And we all know that when you move, you declutter. So I thought, I'll just do the decluttering now, and then I'm ready to go. Then, I'm not asking people to come help me move and schlep around stuff that I don't even need anymore. I would feel terrible asking my friends to do that. So now, after all of this, friends, and I know some of my friends listen, if you ever have to help me move, it's only the stuff I need. I think, I'm praying, yeah, willing. So those are the two things, just to want to get a little cash and just have a garage sale, but also just be ready. I just feel like I need to be ready to move. I need to be lighter in my material possessions. So those are the reasons why. Now, I will tell you right now, boy, we're already 8 minutes in. This could turn into more podcasts. If you ladies like hearing about this stuff, I could probably talk about this decluttering effort in another 2 or 3 podcasts. So let me know in the comments if that interests you or if this is useful and helpful to you. I did, when I started this, sometimes I know to get extra motivation, it is nice to listen to someone else talk about the benefits and the struggles and how they overcame the struggles to achieve the benefits. And so you're listening to me right now, but I also want to be totally transparent and give credit where credit is due. I listened and have been listening for the last couple of weeks to a YouTube channel called The Minimal Mom. I cannot remember her first name. Anyway, The Minimal Mom, go and look it up, or I'll put it in the description below. She is fantastic. Now, she's not Torah, but she's pretty fantastic, and I really appreciate that she talks about the psychology behind what we're doing, behind the struggle and behind the benefits. It's all psychology, and I'm old enough now that I know that and I recognize that. And so when she started talking about that, I was like, oh, good. She's acknowledging it. It's not just a list of, here's some organizing bins to do. We have to get past some, not just baggage, but emotional baggage. So we're decluttering both, aren't we? So I really appreciate her. And so some of what I say are things that I was doing anyway or thinking anyway, but she probably helped me put it into words. So I just want to give her credit. Now, I would say in a nutshell, here's the big thing that I think about decluttering, the big thing. Because the problem is getting rid of stuff makes you have regrets. That's the bottom line. Getting rid of stuff makes us regret usually purchasing it in the first place. But even with that regret, I am finding it's better to get rid of it anyway. Because that's what in this, I'm not talking right now about organizing. Like sometimes organizing will pop up, but just the effort of decluttering means getting rid of clutter. And usually that clutter costs me money in the past at some point. And it is even harder now with the inflation that we're going through. Like I held these things up in my hand. And I'm like, I know I paid only $10 for that, and now it costs $20 or $15 or whatever because of inflation. So it's like an investment, but I'm not using it. So what good is it to me? So I've been going through this, and that's for me is the most painful part, because again, I told you I like a bargain. I love a bargain. I love getting a deal. I love saving money. But if I'm not using the item, I didn't really save any money. I certainly wasted it. So this is the thing. I just have to acknowledge the regret. And I do. And again, ladies, this is hard to tell you because I have to be vulnerable with you and admit that I have bought junk I do not need. I thought I would, or I think I still might need, but I don't actually need it right now. And so I have to be vulnerable here with you and tell you my regrets. So please be gentle with me in the comments. Be nice to me, or I will not be able to keep doing this podcast. Some of you are really much more disciplined in this area. You never buy stuff you don't need, and that's awesome. We all have, and this is what I have to remind myself when I'm vulnerable with you about my weaknesses. I remind myself that you all have weaknesses too. We just often have different weaknesses. So this podcast is for women who collect clutter like me and waste money buying things that turns out we're never going to need. And we have good intentions, and we're actually, we're trying to be frugal. We're trying to save future money, and it just didn't work out. Now, some of these items, like eventually I'll probably use it, but how far away is eventually? And I just need my house to be better right now. So even though I have regrets, I'm going to get rid of it anyway. That's like the big thing in my head. That's the big takeaway. Even though you have regrets throughout the decluttering process, declutter anyway. The other thing I'm learning is that regret is not the same thing as guilt. And this is the same in our spiritual walk with sin too. We look back in our lives at things we regret, whether it's buying junk or sin, and we ought to regret bad decisions. We should regret them, but we don't have to feel guilty about it. We confess it to the Father, we confess it to our spouse, to our children, whoever. We repent, we change our ways, and then we move forward in grace. And with this, you have to give grace to yourself. I am giving grace to myself, and I am not going to live in a state of guilt. I have regrets over buying a lot of this junk, but not guilt. Because I also remember when I bought it, I had good intentions, and maybe the world was different at that time, and like all these reasons, I'm just not going to beat myself up over it, because that will put me in an emotional place where I'm just not content, even with myself. So I don't want to live like that. I just want to, now the regret is good, because regret motivates me to do better in the future. So I'm not just sad about my poor decisions in the past. I want to do better in the future. I don't want to buy junk at garage sales. I don't want to buy, it's buy 10, get the 11th free. Oh my heavens, do I need 10? I don't want to fall into the marketing traps. And I'm not saying to you guys like I'm crazy with my money or anything. Like we're talking like little things, we're little amounts, but I'm going to use that past regret, and I'm going to remember what my house felt like before I started this. I'm going to use that to motivate me to not get more stuff, to not bring more stuff into my home for just in case, or maybe someday, or it's on super duper clearance. It's a good deal. Those are not good enough reasons for me anymore. And I might fall off the wagon and go back into that again. What's the old thing that they say, you fill the space that you have. So it's possible someday maybe I live in a huge house, unlikely, but possible. And like the dream basement with tons and tons of sturdy shelves, and you could have like 8 totes full of Sukkot decorations. That would be amazing. And I could probably fill, in a dream way with garage sales, 8 totes of Sukkot decorations. We are very capable of filling the space that we have. But right now I don't have that space. I don't even have a basement. I rent the upstairs, like the ground level of this house, and it's just a ranch. So I don't even have a basement right now. I have some garage shelves, and I have like a little storage unit out back, and that's it. I don't even have a basement. So I'm going to use my past regret not to beat myself up and feel guilty, but just to remember and to let it motivate me to do better in the future. So no more bringing junk into my house. So my goal here is my house has always been tidy. I don't want you to think I'm like a hoarder. You can ask my friends. Friends, leave comments and tell them I'm not a hoarder. I've never been a hoarder. My friends always tell me, your house is nice, your house is clean, your house is so clean and tidy, and it does. My house has always been tidy. I think I was really good at hiding the clutter. I'm the queen of hiding clutter, I think. But it's still also now so much better. But so my goal is to, have you ever been to an Airbnb? And as soon as you walk in, it feels so peaceful. Like, not like a hotel. Like, hotels can kind of feel peaceful too, I guess. But I've been to some Airbnbs where they just feel like you just instantly feel like you're on vacation and you feel shalomi. I think part of that is that it's a homey place, because a hotel is not homey. Like an Airbnb, there might be a couch. There might be a vase with some flowers in it. There might be little cute decorations. And there's no clutter because no one lives there. The drawers are empty. The shelves are basically empty. There's room for you to put your stuff. There's room to spread out. It's a pleasant and slightly decorated place, but there's no clutter. And that's what I want my house to feel like. That's my goal. When I look around, and does it kind of feel, maybe it's tacky, does it feel like an Airbnb, a nice Airbnb, or nice-ish? And I'm not one to go crazy with decorations and things. I don't care a lot about that. But I just want I want my home to be a pleasant place to live. And my goal has always been to have my house tidy and clean enough for people to stop by. Not that I really want people to stop by. I kind of very much prefer a heads up. But if they have to stop by, and sometimes they do, or sometimes I only get a 5-minute heads up, my house is always good enough. There might be some stuff, some dishes waiting for their turn in the dishwasher, but generally the house is usually picked up. And so my house is always like that. But now my house also feels more like an Airbnb with like room to breathe. Like the bookshelves are not completely full of books. Like I have this, a sweet friend gave me a little shofar a year ago, and I am now able to put that shofar on a bookshelf where people can see it, where I can see it. It's such a nice thing, and it didn't even have a proper spot. Now it has a proper spot because there's no books in those, 10 inches of space now. Oh, the shofar can breathe. So how is it going? How's my decluttering going? Shofar, so good. Okay, sorry. So my house, I think, is only about 1,600 square feet. Like I said, there's no basement. So I have to work with what I have. Even my bedroom closet they kind of remodeled this to put in an extra bathroom in my bedroom. So my closet is smaller than a child's closet. It is teeny. So I'm really, really creative with how I store things, and I just I can't keep extra stuff. So what did I do with all the stuff? Here's what I'm doing with stuff. There's 3 things I'm doing with stuff, basically, that's getting out of my house. Number 1, I'm just plain throwing away a lot of stuff. I feel like I have a good feel of what's useful at the Goodwill and what's not and stuff like that. And I just know what trash is. And so I am throwing away a lot of stuff. I am probably throwing away some stuff that could possibly be useful to someone else, but I do not have time to figure that out. Like I said, I'm between projects right now. I only have about 3 weeks for this whole thing. I cannot spend tons and tons of time selling lots of stuff on Marketplace or asking my friends and making appointments. I don't have time for that. So unfortunately, sometimes we just have to throw away things. And I know that's not super green of me, but like I said, I am trying to do better. So it is what it is. I'm not going to have piles of stuff that I'm trying to get to just the right place. I'm not going to do that. So I recommend, if you're really going to do this and you think you have a lot of stuff, or you start finding like, oh no, it's going to overflow the trash bin. They're not going to take all that trash on trash day. Find your local dump. We have a local dump. It's actually called a transfer station. It's not really a dump, but it is the dump. And it's just 2 miles, maybe 3 miles down the road. I'm so blessed. So we have made several trips to the dump, and they charged me, I don't know, like $20 for what could fit in my van. And I can't load my van very full because it's just a minivan. But for like several bags of trash, it was like $20. And to me, totally worth it, because again, I have to work fast. So find out where your local dump is. Don't do it on Shabbats, of course. Go on their other days of the week. And you can call ahead and see if they take what kind of trash. I mean, they don't take certain stuff like paint, but find out if just household trash is okay, because that's probably what you have. And take your stuff to the dump rather than having it pile up in your garage waiting for the next 6 trash days to catch up. That's going to be very unpleasant. I recommend you just get it out of the house, find your local dump. Secondly, with what did I do with my stuff? I donated a whole ton of it. Especially clothing, I'm not going to try to sell clothing at a garage sale. I just don't have time for that. I don't even have enough I don't have enough tables for the stuff I already have from my garage sale. And it just turns, and then it's just so much work to sell clothing at a garage sale. Sorting it, folding it, again and again, folding it. I just don't want to do it. And most garage sales that I go to, at the end, most of their clothing is still there. So apparently my area does not want to buy clothes at garage sales. So the clothing is going to like a donation center. So pick your favorite donation center. Don't drive around with it in your car. Go and get rid of it. And finally, I already told you I'm going to have a really big garage sale. So my garage right now, and this is frustrating because we've been working on decluttering the parts of the garage, but then there's now this giant pile for a garage sale. So the garage sale, for all my local friends, if you're listening, come to my house. I think we're going to start it on Tuesday, which is a very weird day to start a garage sale. But, there's no rules about garage sales. I can start a garage sale on Tuesday if I want. And I think we will sell out of everything by Wednesday. The last garage sale I priced my stuff really, really cheap. I mean, it's a garage sale. And I find a lot of garage sales people think their stuff is more valuable than it is. And I don't want to be that person. Plus, I feel like it's an opportunity to let people like glean off the edges of my field. And I don't get a lot of opportunity for that. This is an opportunity. So I know a lot of ladies, moms, will go to garage sales because that's all they can afford. And they really are looking for stuff they need. and I want to bless them with like awesome prices. And so that's what I do. And the other perk is then it sells out. The last garage sale I had, we pretty much sold out, and I closed up early because there was almost nothing left. And I want to have that happen too. So, and my road is kind of sandwiched between two major roads. So when I put a sign up on each road, we get tons of shoppers. So if I open on Tuesday, I think we'll be done by Wednesday afternoon. And then I can have my garage back. I could also do it like Thursday, Friday, of course, not on Shabbat, but I don't really want to be cleaning it up on prep day either. So I'm just going to be a weirdo and have a garage sale on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and who cares? So I do also recognize, like, I'm on level 1 of decluttering. I can see already. It is the minimal mom, she says it's like an onion, and you declutter one level, like you go through your whole house, and then a few months later you realize, oh, there's more stuff I can get rid of. And so you do another layer of decluttering, and you do that maybe if you, now she is called the minimal mom. Sisters, I don't think I'm gonna be minimal. I'm not saying she's extreme, but her house is lovely and she seems really content. I don't think I need to be as extreme as her, but I can see that I'm gonna have multiple times of decluttering if I feel the Spirit telling me to keep going with this. For example, and I often declutter the junk drawer because it's something you're in all the time, right? So I declutter my junk drawer like every 6 months. But part of this last week, I went through it again with fresh eyes to see what can I not just organize, but really doesn't need to be in the junk drawer at all. And sure enough, I took some stuff out. Like we kept our chip clips and I would keep like a silverware organizer, the silverware trays that you put in the silverware drawer. I keep one of those in the junk drawer to make it organized. And so one whole slot was for chip clips. And it dawned on me, I looked at the stupid chip clips and I was like, oh, we have like 20. Who has 20 bags of anything open? And I know we use it for like pasta and not just chips and all kinds of stuff. Maybe even a bread bag, sometimes even frozen items in the freezer, you chip clip them. But I don't need 20. And I've had 20 in there for forever. So I just kept organizing all these years, 20 chip clips. That's so stupid. I shouldn't say stupid in case you're organizing 30 chip clips. I'm not judging. A lot of you have more children, but I don't need 20. So I threw away like a whole bunch of them. Threw them away. Unless they were awesome, I guess maybe I could sell them at the garage sale, but I tossed them. So I went through the whole junk drawer and I did kind of that. The next day, because you go in a junk drawer every day, I looked at my junk drawer again and I thought, oh, I'm so dumb. I had 7 chopsticks still in the junk drawer. And I was so proud of myself because they had a little slot, they had a little place. But I don't need 7 chopsticks in the junk drawer. Maybe I can keep the backups, right? This is what we all have. We have backups of important things. So maybe it's important to me to have backups of chapstick, but they don't need to be in the junk drawer. It was so like layers, right? Like the first time I went through it, my brain did not even catch on to the fact that is unnecessary. Second time I looked at those chapsticks, my brain flagged it and said, that is not necessary. Do something about that. So I did something about that. I think I threw away 2 or 3 that were partly used. The rest were all new. I kept 1 in there for me, 1 for my daughter, and I gave her the other 2 to put inside a little place where she keeps some of her little girly stuff. So now they have a home, but they're not all in a high traffic area like my junk drawer. So anyway, it just made me laugh. In my kitchen, I was decluttering chapsticks and chopsticks because in another drawer I found like 20 pairs of chopsticks. It's like, holy cow, you get them every time you get Chinese. I don't need them in my house. So I was proud of myself for getting rid of chopsticks and chopsticks. So what are we at? We're at half an hour. I just want to have stuff in my home that I'm using right now. And I am holding on to some stuff for later, but not nearly as much as I was. A lot of the stuff that I have for just in case is no longer in my house. I want my house, especially the areas that we use all the time, like my house, to be stuff we are using right now. Now I have a garage, I have a storage unit. That might be, and that is kind of where I'm putting stuff for later, the rainy day stuff, clothes for the kids to grow into, shoes for the kids to grow into. I'm not getting rid of everything, but everything that's in my house, in our closets, in my bathroom drawers, in the kitchen cupboards, is all stuff I'm using right now. Because I'm in a busy season. I'm homeschooling, I'm running a business. I'm not doing everything right now. So, for example, during COVID, I was making not a lot of bread, but I learned how to bake bread, and I was doing a lot of that. I'm not doing it right now. It was kind of like an effort to prove to myself that I could. I know how now. I have the skills, but I don't have a lot of time right now. So some of those supplies I tucked away. I didn't get rid of all of that, but I did tuck it away because I don't need it right now. It's not the season I'm in right now. And so my house is it's always been functional, but really easy functional. So I can keep talking about more of that, especially the kitchen, in another episode if you want. I have a lot more notes that I'm not even apparently able to get to because we're already at half an hour. But I can talk about what I did with games and puzzles and homeschool books and books from our little library and everything. Kitchen utensils, cleaning rags. There's so much stuff. Most of you listening to this are very, very blessed, like I am. Not long ago, I did a podcast about the Proverbs 31 woman and being content, and we all want to be like her. And really, what was her life like? She didn't have all of this stuff at her fingertips. What a blessed, truly blessed life we have, that we can even have discussions about too much material things. Really, it just boggles my mind how good the Father has been to us, and how there are Torah keepers around the world who don't have hardly anything. Some of them don't even have food and clean water. Oh, it just hurts my heart. So while we talk about all of these things, and see, this is why this podcast is unique, right? Because we're a group of ladies that look at all of this from a Bible worldview. A lot, and there's tons and tons, and I'm not saying you can't listen to them, podcasts and YouTube channels about minimalism and decluttering, but I don't know. I just hope that you find this a refreshing place. So if you have ideas, email me at amytorahsisters.com. If there's some angle, Torah related that we can talk about this, let me know. And don't forget also, if you have a business, go look for the Boss Torah Sisters, torahsisters.com/boss. I'm going to be making I have a whole other podcast over there for business owners. And I'm going to talk over there about decluttering business stuff. So, all right, sisters, if you want to hear more, let me know, because I can talk more about decluttering. And I will let you go. Shalom.